Also, Christina, well, this is
Hello. Thank you for having me today.
oh, no problem, no problem. It's yeah, press the record button so we continue on our conversation because we nearly got into some of the good stuff there.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, I'm just going to start by allowing you to
Hmm.
introduce yourself and just explain to the listeners what you do, and I suppose a snippet on your journey as well on what we just covered.
Absolutely. I'm Christina Wong. I'm a personal growth coach, and I focus mostly on perfectionism, self-esteem, and relationships, which kind of covers most of our lives. And I've transitioned from being a cake designer, mostly weddings, but really any occasion, into doing this through my own journey of growth. And so that's kind of the very shortened gist of my journey. So.
Lovely, lovely. And why did you pick those topics? So it was perfectionism, relationships,
Self-esteem,
and self-esteem.
yes. Those are the ones that I've had the most growth with, of course,
Okay.
right? So those are the areas where when I started my journey, I didn't realize how much room I had to grow in those areas. And wow, what a life changer it's been for me, just in terms of how I feel inside, how I navigate decisions, and even something like this with a big life transition, which can feel very scary.
Mm.
But yeah, it's been pretty amazing. So those are the areas that I feel I can speak to the best because of my own experience.
Yeah, and I know from my like those three areas are massive. Perfectionism can be completely paralyzing because perfection doesn't exist, right? Would you agree with that?
So yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Like,
Oh gosh, yeah. The pursuit of that is so futile, but we try so often to get there.
yeah, yeah. So I had my experience that it was like more like trying to understand that it's been a journey to greatness. That's fine
Mhm.
to be your best self, but yeah, the illusion of perfectionism, it can be so rigid as
Oh,
well.
and everybody's idea of what perfection is different. So maybe you're perfect in one situation or for one person, but you can never be perfect for everyone all the time in every situation. So I feel like instead of focusing myself out there, I've been able to kind of refocus on what works for me and what's in alignment with my values. And yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And self-esteem as well. Like, like it's so empowering to get into that space. Like just to kind of break down walls, I suppose, that are within you to like really, to be your best, to be your own best friend, and like, believe in the
Yes.
greatness that you can be.
Yeah. Listening, when I started with that journey, I didn't realize how critical that inner voice was and how kind I could be for loved ones, but to myself, it was like, wait a second, if I can do that for them, maybe I should be doing that for myself and starting with this very small steps. But yeah, that makes letting go of the perfectionism easier,
Mm.
right? So, and that's been my experience at least. So,
Wow. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, because I suppose, yeah, like because the whole idea of perfection is because it's imagined, really, you're never going to get there, and it could be very,
exactly.
very disappointing. Like if you feel like you're not getting to a place that you believe that you ought to get to, it can be very upsetting.
Yeah, if you feel like you're never reaching a standard that you've set, which is impossible to reach, you'll just always feel badly about yourself. And that's
Yeah.
not how I want to move through the world. So,
Yeah. And the third one, then, relationships. Why relationships?
well, that was the reason I actually started seeing a life coach. That was kind of the instigator for me is I had had a couple longer term relationships, and then I got into a pattern of just dating but not being able to sustain anything. And I thought, I don't know what I'm doing, but I am the common denominator here. So maybe I need somebody's help in seeing what patterns I might have. And so I've learned a lot. And I mean, my relationships have all been impacted since I started this journey by working on my self-esteem and my perfectionism as well. So they all kind of, work together, but that's been a huge area of growth for me as well. So,
Wow.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can resonate with that. When I first went to start coaching as well myself, it was because of wanting to improve relationships and
Right.
particularly romantic relationships. And it was funny, when I started that, I completely stopped having romantic relationships for way longer than I expected because I needed to build the one I had with myself first.
Yes, absolutely. It's pretty wild that when I think back about how much I was kind of being rigid with myself, I unintentionally was projecting that onto partners of, well, if they would only do this, our relationship would be better. Instead of looking in the mirror and being like, how am I co-creating this dynamic to get us to this point? It's not all me, it's not all them, but how am I contributing to this? So once I was able to kind of ease into myself and accept more of myself, then the more I could accept as my partner as well and not try to fix and control and, steer everything. So
Yeah, allow the natural waves to be, I guess, isn't it?
yes, exactly. Sometimes they're super uncomfortable, but that's growth. So
Yeah. Yeah, growth and yeah, going outside your comfort zone and all that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So like with your journey itself, it's amazing transitions you've had there, like I'm assuming coaching and stuff like that, like being a coach and a coachee, that the experience from both sides has helped. But I suppose, could you talk me through, like was it scary when you're making those moves? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So there were definitely sessions with my coach where, he's like, no, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Like I obviously logically knew she did, but I didn't want to accept it. So there's definitely some weeks and some periods where really having to go inside and look at, okay, what element of truth is there, and
Mhm.
how can I be kind to myself and have compassion as I admit these areas that need growth, because shame isn't going to get me anywhere, but how can I be kind to myself in the process? And one thing that I found has been really instrumental for me in all of this is working on my nervous system,
Wow.
so that when those moments of discomfort come, whether it's with in a romantic relationship, with a family member, or with work, I'm not just reactive. I can kind of calm myself and then choose what response resonates or aligns with my values. So there's a couple little tools that I've picked up along the way. One of them is just doing a cold blast at the end of my shower.
Oh.
I never look forward to it ever, but I do it and I breathe through it, because then it's kind of like this mental thing that I know I can breathe through discomfort. So then when it comes up in unexpected moments, oh, right, I know how to breathe through this. So
Wow.
nervous system regulation has been a big part of my journey. So
Wow. So it's like building resilience, I suppose, in that way, is it?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's a great way to put it. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Yeah. I've done the cold shower thing. I think I've done it once. I think maybe I need to do it a bit more, but it's kind of like the Wim Hof method, is
Yes.
it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's where I got the idea.
Oh, okay.
And I said, okay, I can't cold plunge every day. That's not realistic for my life.
Okay.
So let's try this cold shower thing. And I started it, I think, February, March of 2020, which was interesting timing because that's right when the world was shutting down for a while. And I've been doing it since. And I think it's been really helpful in kind of catapulting some areas of growth. So
Oh, wow. And is it just in those areas of resilience, or is there other areas that is that the neuroscience kind of approach, or the NLP, or am I mistaken on that?
You know what? I've heard it from many
Different areas.
different avenues, so I feel like it's a lot of things are starting to kind of
Yeah.
come together almost and work together. And that's what one of the things I love about coaching is that you don't necessarily have to subscribe to one modality,
True.
see what works, you know? So moving my body, even just going for walks more, because I've never been a workout person, I've never been a gym person, but what ways can I find to move my body that help move energy, instead of just, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm just going to sit in it. Like, how can I let it keep moving? So it's been helpful in pretty much every area in different ways,
Mhm.
just in terms of tuning into my body instead of just staying in my head.
Mhm.
What's my body trying to tell me?
Yeah.
So if somebody's crossing a boundary of mine, maybe initially I would just feel angry or frustrated. And instead of just retaliating, what is that emotion? What is that feeling in my body, that sensation trying to tell me? And then I can navigate it that way. So, yeah, I find pretty much every instance of my life it's been helpful.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's so true. You say like our bodies are so wise. They really can tell us a lot of the answers that we need to know if we stop to just check in.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
one thing that my coach first said to me. She's like, you live up here and, you know, there's a limit to that. You need to get back into your body. Don't just listen to your head. Let your body listen to your body, essentially. So don't just work on autopilot. So that's been part of this whole journey for me.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I was actually just reading something as well earlier, and like when you were like I was mentioning romantic relationships earlier, that sensation of getting like butterflies. Like I've come across
Yeah.
that, like that's actually usually a red flag.
Right? Yeah. But how many of us think that means this is the one? That means this is the person I should pursue, when it's like, oh wait, maybe this is means I should pause. And
Yeah.
why, what is it that they're triggering in me? Is it like a fear that they're going to abandon me, so I need to hold on to them, because I've definitely been there.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
done
me too.
all of that. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's nice what you say as well there, that the showers, like the cold showers. And we mentioned as well earlier before the podcast started, how we all have different journeys, we're all
Yeah.
different. And I suppose
Yeah.
that's in line with what we say here. That also means that we need to try out different things to see what it is that works for us. There's not a one size fits
Yeah.
all. Mm.
Yeah, exactly. We all have different roads that we've journeyed on so far, right? We've all had different childhoods and different lives up till this point. So what works for me won't necessarily work for you or the next person, but maybe it works for someone,
Yeah.
somewhere else. So it's great. And I'm always open to trying something, and I don't know if that one was the right fit. Maybe I'll try one more time, but it's great. It's just, it keeps it interesting, and it also can connect you with people. Well, what is it about this that's working for you? So I've loved that as well.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's like curiosity, like the try. What is it like? Sometimes you just need to. They say that like if you just try something out, trying things out is actually the road to success, because you're actually you're moving yourself forward. Whether you realize it or not. It's
Right. If we're just doing the same thing, we're trying to create something new with the same ingredients, right? And it's like, well, we only have so many combinations we can do with that. Let's add something new into the mix and see where that can get us. So,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So what's been like most surprising for you on your journey so far? Like especially coming away from perfectionism. I think awakening to that can be opens up like tons of new paths.
Absolutely. A big piece of that has been allowing myself to try new things, because as a perfectionist, it was like, well, I can't try that, especially in front of anyone else, because if I don't do it right, like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen, you know? So it's allowed me more space to try new things. It's also allowed me to be more graceful with other people, which has been really lovely. Takes the pressure off everyone. So we can all just kind of be. Um, but I just recently did a wellness retreat
Wow.
in just outside of Tulum in Mexico, and
Wow.
it was incredible. It was absolutely amazing, and there were so many moments of letting go of more layers of that perfectionism. I have pin straight hair, which is fine, but I've been curling it since I was a kid, so I usually have some curl to it. And in the humid rainforest, no chance. Absolutely not. So there was definitely embracing, you know, hey, this is me.
Mm.
Nobody cared. And it was so healing to have experiences with people where they're not thinking about that at all, of course. And I could let go of it. So yeah,
It's
it's
beautiful.
lovely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like that's where like I think nature can teach us so much, you know, when we're out there.
Yes, just surrendering to what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like perfectionism can't fit in that space because
No,
because
there is no room for it. You know, I would have missed out on so many beautiful experiences if I had been caught up in, you know, what my hair looked like or what my skin looked like or, you know, how I was appearing to people. If I couldn't be vulnerable and accept the discomfort of it, I would have missed out on so many incredible experiences with amazing people. So,
yeah, wow.
yeah.
That's amazing. So like could you tell me a little bit more actually about your coaching business then? So you do retreats as well. Um
So I was actually a guest on the retreat. One day I was thinking about it recently. I would love to help facilitate a retreat because it's really like heart opening. And
mm.
I even saw the facilitators on the retreat really opening up as well. So I would love to do that at some point. Not quite there yet, but so it's mostly one-on-one right now. I'm working on some kind of group programs and some corporate programs as well, um, dealing with kind of communication and work-life balance and such. But right now it has been mostly one-on-one. And also I love writing, so I'm hoping at some point to be able to do a book.
Oh wow.
So yeah, but I really love being able to, with the one-on-one, personalize someone's experience, right?
Mm.
Again, everyone having their own journey. I think it's really important to be able to dive into, well, what's coming up for you and how can we tailor this to fit, you know, what makes you feel safe? I think safety is the most important thing with what I want to create for clients is a safe space so that you can explore because without that you're gonna kind of push up against it.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I believe that like in coaching, you know, like the more open that you can be, the more you can get from the experience, you know. It's amazing. What's even
Yeah.
helped me is like, you know, when I've gone, you know, gone through coaching, you know, as a coachee, you know, just remembering, I suppose that like I think sometimes when we experience issues, we think that we're the only person that can suffer with those. But really the truth is, you know, lots of other people can experience the same problems, maybe in slightly different ways, but they're not as unique sometimes as we think they are, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. The details of the situation might be different, but underneath those feelings of whether it's abandonment, rejection, unworthiness, those are experienced by most of us at some point in our lives. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree. And like I think that's definitely helped, you know, from, you know, to encourage others, you know, to speak up and, you know, because, you know, for me, like I believe safety as well is the key factor.
yeah,
And, you know, it's important for people to feel that, you know. But like and like for me, I suppose going through the journeys through that, for me, it became a journey about connection. I found since the very beginning, you know, like connecting with myself and beginning to connect with the world in a new way. And it's a journey, I think, that continues throughout. Yeah.
I completely agree. I think that will continue to evolve and unfold through the rest of our lives. And it is so beautiful. I see the connections that have transformed in my life. And that's exactly why I want to share with everyone else or whoever resonates with me these tools and this space, because my life feels so much more enriched with those connections, both with myself and others. So
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. What's been what's been the most surprising thing that's happened for you, like as in your experience, like, you know, making all these changes? Because I know they require so much bravery and, you know, taking big steps, and a lot of
Yeah.
self-reflection as well. Like for you, what did you find was the most unexpected thing to happen?
I think there was a point where I realized what I thought I always wanted is not the case anymore.
Wow.
And yeah, there was a really long period of time where for me, I thought marriage and kids, that's how I get to be happy. And it doesn't mean I can't have that or I'll never have that. But I just kind of realized, oh, I'm able to release that need, that tight grip on it. And if it happens, amazing. And if not, my life will be beautiful regardless. And I
Wow.
think that was pretty surprising because I thought it was so deep in me that, like, yes, I need to have this. So that was really, yeah,
Wow.
surprising.
And what was it that changed that?
I think it was this self acceptance and the self love and, the letting go of that perfectionism and working on that self esteem that whatever my life looks like, whether it looks like anybody else's or not, it's okay. And the surrender to receive whatever it is that life is going to bring me. And it could unfold to be something even better than I ever imagined.
Wow.
And so it kind of concurrently happened with all these different areas kind of falling into place eventually together as I worked on separate areas, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and like when you mentioned the word, like, you know, you said, you know, you feel enriched, you know, like I can totally resonate with that, you know, like when you open these doors, you allow so much in, like life, you know, and color and opportunities, and it's so, it can be so deep, I think, like so true to yourself that, you know, the world can be is 10 times more amazing, I think, than you can imagine, you know. I find that even hard to
It
put into
is.
words now.
Yeah, it's more fun. Like I can try things just for the enjoyment of it. I took my mom to like a hand weaving basket course, and who cares what it looks like? It's a lovely connection piece for us, and you just create for the joy of creating. There's no expectation of what it has to be. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, no perfectionism. Again.
Right. Yes. Let go. Let go.
Yeah. Because things can be just beautiful, like, you know, when they're created and just, you know,
The
just,
messiness of being human is beautiful in its own right. It doesn't feel beautiful, but it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So wow, like that's your journey has just been amazing. Like, and
Oh, I think I've enjoyed it. Even some moments don't feel so great when you're in the middle of it, right? But
yes.
being able to look back, it's like, wow, everything has led me to this space, and I wouldn't give back any of it. Even the hardest moments of my life, I hate to say it, but they were there for a reason. I had something to learn from them. So it's either I choose to try to learn from them
Mm.
or I don't, and then I'm probably going to encounter that again down the road.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy. I suppose that's one of the big misconceptions.
Yeah. That comfort zone is so cozy, isn't it? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that, I suppose, becomes its own trouble when you get stuck in the comfort zone for too long.
then you stagnate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stagnant. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But it is that, I think that was one of the most surprising things for me, is like, that choice of when you choose the path, like, true to yourself, there is a lot of difficulties come with that. But that's
Yes.
life, that's like, even, when you recognize like plants out in nature when they're going through seasons, they struggle through times, but they come back and they bloom, and it's a natural cycle. Um,
Absolutely. There's no purpose or the difficulty of being human. It's just, do you want the difficulty of stagnating in your zone, or do you want the difficulty of moving forward and giving yourself a shot to get everything that, life has to offer? So take your heart.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The audio has gone down a little bit there, Christina.
Oh, interesting. It's a little bit better. Yeah.
Okay. We'll
Okay.
just use it here for my phone.
I'm
Sorry
gonna
about that.
use my ears really well and do my best to.
I'll move closer. So sorry for interrupting. Yeah, so yeah, like we were talking about, like, following your heart, and the pain that can really come from that. Um,
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like it breaks you open though when you do follow your heart,
mm,
right? Like it's painful in the process, but it's so
so worth it.
expansive and beautiful when you're able to do that. But I do think having safe space to help you along the way
Hmm.
is helpful with that because it can feel so scary. So if you don't have anyone who feels safe during
Hmm.
that process or during that journey, ooh, I can imagine that that feels really unsettling. And yeah, I would want to just stay in my comfort zone too if that were the case. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, 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 yeah. But yeah, I can. And it's like it's so liberating, like so exciting, I believe, like when you go on it, and like there is a lot of juggling that comes with it, like as you say, like you do need trusted people on your journey, and sometimes that can involve changing up a lot of your circle in some ways, like sometimes you might make new friends who have some similarities with you, or can in terms of like new friends, or doing coaching, things like that, and suddenly you might feel
yeah,
like, oh, I need to connect with some new people, and learn some new things, and that can be exciting too.
it is. It's can be bittersweet, I think, because it's like you're creating room for new people for those
Hmm.
types of relationships. Sometimes you do have to let go of other relationships that are no longer contributing to the life that
Hmm.
you desire. So it's kind of letting go of the old to make room for the new, which is both beautiful but can be bittersweet sometimes. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, 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 yeah. And that comes with the changes, I think, in life. I think,
yes.
when you're in the present moment, things change all the time. And it's a question of whether we want to be true to ourselves and where we are.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think a big piece of that for me, and being able to embrace that was letting go of the stories in my head that I thought,
Mhm.
oh, well, if I don't do this, or if I do this, or if I walk away from this, this is what it means. Whereas like,
Mhm.
no, not necessarily. That's the narrative I've created or I've internalized from, I don't know, even past generations or what have you. And I can let go of those and I can create my own narrative and just let things be. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's beautiful, isn't it? It's just, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I
And a
that's what
release.
I yeah, I it's something I so wish everybody could experience. So yeah, we're all worthy of it. So I just want that for everyone.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. 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 So what would your advice be to like somebody who's, maybe not started the path to coaching or development or, that field? What would you say if
I
somebody was
would start by clarifying goals. I think sometimes we know we want change, but we're not sure what part of life is just life feels a bit off. So tuning into yourself, like, okay, something feels off. And you don't have to have a perfect answer, of course, but just have an idea of this is what feels off for me.
Mhm.
And if you're feeling a little apprehensive about contacting a coach, maybe start with reading a book. Start by
Mhm.
following coaches on Instagram. See what resonates with you and just get curious, which is one of my favorite tools is curiosity. Just get curious. I wonder why I'm reacting this way. I wonder why when someone does such and such, it makes me feel, because it's more about me than it is them.
Yeah.
So I would say get curious. What's going on for me and how can I explore this? And if you don't want to jump in with both feet at first, that's okay. Dip your toe
Mm.
in a way that feels safe for you, and then you build on it. It's like a muscle. You build it over time. So maybe you get more comfortable with the idea of coaching or the idea of nervous system regulation, and then you can dive in a little deeper.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, I love that. Like, it's curiosity, and that's like that doesn't mean a full-on commitment, just by, as you say, like dipping your foot in the water. It's okay, and if it doesn't feel good, you can try something else.
That's
It's
right.
lovely.
Give it
Yeah,
a
yeah,
go. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think that the more we can get curious instead of operating on autopilot, well, okay, well, I just gotta, and that can feel really hard in the busyness of our daily lives. But if you're starting to feel whether it's overwhelmed or disconnected or what have you, don't just keep going. Don't
hmm
just go faster. Actually slow down and start looking inside and reconnecting with yourself.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's fantastic advice. Yeah, because it's like when we connect to ourselves and our bodies, like a lot of the answers are there. We just need to
Yes,
step back.
yes. I find that most of the time, the answer that I'm looking for is inside, but do I create the space? Do I create the quiet to hear what that is? Because I mean, I don't know about you, but I often have music in the background or something going on. There's not many moments in
Mm.
my life that it's just pure quiet. So I do try to create that when I'm feeling stuck.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I do that too. It's yeah. I like meditation is my go-to.
Okay,
And I
yeah,
love it. Yeah, and
yeah,
sometimes yeah, sure, I listen to music and things like that, and sometimes I use guided ones, but sometimes I really just need to put on the meditation timer to
yes,
fully connect to what's going on inside. And what I
yeah.
find amazing is the resistance that can come from doing that sometimes.
Absolutely, yes. Oh,
Mm.
for sure. Yeah. I've recently gotten into a bit more of a routine with yoga,
Right.
but not in the way of working out my body. And it might be well known knowledge, but when I was introduced to yoga years ago, it was more about the physical rewards of working out. And I
Mm.
actually never knew that it means union. So it means union of your emotional body, your physical body, your mental body, like all of it, your spiritual body. So the yoga that I've been doing is really more intentional about connecting to my body and like creating space for myself. So it's almost like a form of meditation, but while moving my body. So
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they're so connected.
yes,
Like it's
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. I had the exact same thing with yoga. I thought it was like something that you do to get fit and things like that.
Right.
And yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's so much more. Yeah.
It is so
And
much
it's
more.
yeah, and like for like, finding your inner strength, like I always find like, when you're doing is it the treetop pose?
You're like, oh, okay, I couldn't do this before. Now, oh yeah, yeah. But you also meet resistance on that journey as well, right? Of like, oh, I
Yeah.
can't do this, or I can't hold this pose anymore. And some days are tougher than others, and it's all okay. Nobody's journey is just like this. It's, so.
The most amazing thing to learn, yeah. It's not like a straight
Yes.
line.
No, wouldn't that be nice? But yeah, that's just not the way it goes. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you, like sharing your story and things, like I
Oh,
find it, I love the transitions that you've had, and
thank
you
you.
know, my podcast is about, like hearing people's stories, I was telling you, and like walking the talk. And it's so beautiful to talk with you because, your joy is beaming out from like, our
Ah,
call. You're beautiful. So it just goes to show, what it means to follow your own true path. So
thank you
I
so
really
much.
appreciate you.
Oh, well, thank you for creating this space. It's been so lovely connecting with you. And yeah, I'm loving it. So,
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm delighted to be like sharing this out. And I'll share your details out as well, like that. So like, the listeners can follow you and things like that.
yeah.
And yeah, I'm delighted. It's really been an honor to talk with you today.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been such a delight, and I can't wait. I hope we can continue to connect along the way.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Learn, try and I might pick your brain on like more Wim Hof. Maybe so I'll have
yeah,
to try that out
please.
more myself.
Yeah, anytime, anytime.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you, Christina. It's really
Thank
nice.
you so much. It's so nice. Thank you.
No.